Gosh, there's one. There's one. Wow, I thought that was totally crappie. I thought that was totally crappie. It is not crappie. It's a huge bass. It's a giant bass. I've got a lot of fishing rods. Swim jig, soft swim bait, topwater frog, topwater walking bait, vibrating jig, skipping jig, spinner bait, medium diving crankbait, football jig, deep crankbait 1, deep crankbait 2, and hey, 1 spinning rod just because. In today's video, I'm going to explain why I use this many bass fishing rods, why you probably need to pick up a few more rods for yourself, or shift your mindset if you are a bank fisherman who likes to pack light. There is something to learn for every single angler, whether you are a bass boat guy or a bank guy. My name's Tyler, and let's talk about it. Another giant, another giant. Look at that, y'all. I can't believe what I just caught. Yes! So what the heck does one person need this many rods for? I'm sure you asked that question when you looked at my thumbnail, and I'm sure your girlfriend or wife has asked you that question all the time. The answer lies in a fishing mindset that you have to understand that will help you improve and catch more fish, and that's exactly what we're gonna talk about in this video. So I'm gonna put these down for a second. Now, contrary to what many anglers out there say, saltwater, freshwater fish like bass are very complex creatures that can change on a moment's notice. This manifests itself in many different ways throughout the bass seasons, but none more prevalent than during the spawn, post-spawn, summer transition. It is a crazy time period. At this point in the year, bass have so much forage everywhere. They've got bluegills to eat up shallow. They've got baitfish to eat up shallow. They've got bluegills to eat out deep. Baitfish to eat out deep. They've got crawfish up shallow, crawfish out deep. You get it. They got fish to eat everywhere. Bass can be anywhere at any time, and they are. And this doesn't just apply to big lakes like I'm sitting on today and like you're gonna see in the second half of this video. This applies to ponds as well. So with that bass fishing constant understood now, how do you rise above those challenges to consistently find and catch fish? You've got to have a mindset that change is okay. You as an angler during this time zone, I'm talking about, like I said, the end of the spawn, the post-spawn into the summer, need to be okay with throwing different lures all day long, not just sticking with one thing throughout the day. No matter if you're a pond angler or a bank angler, the fish are going to be changing, and you have to be okay with that. It is necessary for pond anglers to throw topwater in the morning and then switch to a mid-depth in the late morning, and then in the afternoon throw slow-moving lures like a drop shot or a football jig or a big worm. And it's also needed for lake anglers to get out there extra early in the morning, throw topwater in the early morning sunrise period, then a swim jig, vibrating jig around shallow cover, and then move out to brush piles, and then maybe skip some docks as the shade lines get right. You've got to be moving around and throwing different stuff because the fish are changing throughout the day. I can't stress it enough. Don't get stuck throwing one thing. During the wintertime, you can throw one thing, a drop shot, jerkbait all day long. The fish don't change a whole lot. During this time, they do. This is called junk fishing at its finest, and you need to have a junk fishing mindset during this time of the year. Now, it's impossible to act on this mindset, the junk fishing mindset, if you don't have a good understanding of how to work and catch fish on all the rods and lures you see right here. And so this might be kind of an overwhelming topic for you. You might think, Tyler, I just got into bass fishing a few months ago. I only know how to use 3 of the lures that you mentioned. And that's okay. As you watch this channel and other instructional channels and you put more time into learning bass fishing, you'll get more proficient with all these types of techniques, and you'll become a better junk fisherman. In my experience, if you can become a successful junk fisherman, you can call yourself a seasoned angler. So now that we have a foundation for this time of the year, let's hop on the water and go through an awesome day of bass fishing, like I said, where I used almost all of these rods to catch bass. So the trolling motor is going down. As you can see, I have beat the sunrise. That is very important for this time of the year. And I'm gonna try to catch some shad spawn fish. Now, if you don't know what a shad spawn is, I will leave that video linked in the video description. I start by throwing just a regular topwater walking bait, I believe it is, and I'm throwing around a retaining wall. This retaining wall is made of wood. I love wood retaining walls. I find they're better than concrete. There's one. There's one. Power pull down. Power pull down. Beautiful. Beautiful. Old shad spawn. Bring it up in here. Let's go. What a healthy looking fish, man. Oh gosh. Look at that thing. Gotta get a picture for the gram. Uh-oh, my other power pole didn't go down. Shad spawn bite is here. And I stayed in the exact same area, made another cast. Got another one. Another one. Oh yes, baby. Yes. Another power pull down moment. Beautiful. Gosh, this is one of the most fun times of the year, just to get out there. Oh, he smoked it. Skinnier guy for sure. That guy is not as well fed. That guy needs the shad spawn more. Eat up, friend. All right, there's a point right here. Gotta be a fish. It's a point. Come on. What? And so I continued to fish throughout this area, didn't get any other bites. The shad spawn is incredibly short-lived, and so I pulled the trolling motor up to head to another spot to try it again. Speed is the name of the game. Oh gosh, there's one. Oh gosh, they're exploding on this point. Could be white bass. Go with the hybrid hunter, man. Because why the heck not? So those fish right there that were busting, I could not get to eat a topwater, so I switched to a shallow diving crankbait. Oh yeah, on the hybrid hunter, out in open water, and he's swimming at me, which makes me think he's big. Nope, not big. He is not big, and I don't also think he's the right species. Correct, he is a white bass. But hey, a fish is a fish. But these fish like to get hooks in your hand. Oh. But during this time of the year, these fish really blend together. So you'll have shad spawners that are white bass and largemouth all mixed together. So just because I caught one white bass doesn't mean it's a lost cause area. There's a brush pile out there. We got another one. That one feels bigger. Or I've just got sideways hooked. Yeah, I think it's another white bass. Yes it is, okay. I've got him hooked on the top of the noggin. Chill. Oh, thank you, friend. All right, last cast with this bait. I think we did find a school of whites. Oh, look at that sunrise, boys and girls. My goodness. Now, while the sunrise is beautiful, it brings about the end of the shad spawn bite. So I've got to start chasing the shade now. So all these areas that are shaded by darkness now will be sunny, so I've got to find the areas that the sun has not risen above yet. And the shad spawn should be going there for a few more minutes. And I say a few more minutes, it's a few more minutes. I fished the entire rest of that retaining wall, did not catch a fish, even on the areas that were more shaded by the trees from the sun. So I pulled up the trolling motor and I thought, you know what? Shad spawn is done. Let's catch some fish on a crankbait. This time though, unless I see fish busting on the top, I'm gonna throw the hybrid hunter. That topwater time is very short. I mean, like, with a matter of minutes. And to prove that it was almost done, I went down the exact same bank that I caught him on the topwater with a crankbait and didn't catch any. So I pulled the trolling motor up, and now I started to fish some really good looking, just shallow areas. Shallow wood, shallow docks, some retaining walls, with a lot of different things. A spinnerbait, vibrating jig, crankbait, couldn't buy a bite. There's one. There's one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I thought. In between the docks on a square bill. Beautiful. Had to make the longest cast I could. That way, with my bait in the strike zone, got me a fish. All right. I'm gonna keep my bait along the side of those dock posts for as long as I can. The closer I can get to those, the better my chances will be of eliciting a strike. Use my rod tip to guide the bait. Perfect. And now we're banging along the side of these rusty old metal dock posts. Always worth a few casts on a long stretch like this. Shad spawn is done, but the crankbait bite is now beginning. So I moved on to the bridge. A bridge is a great place to throw a crankbait, and surprisingly, didn't catch any on the bridge. So I moved back to some docks to try to catch some more squarebill fish on docks. As you can tell, I'm moving around a lot. Gosh, oh, you son of a gun. You're not a largemouth. Hello, Mr. Whitey. Chill out. Chill out. You're gonna get a hook in my hand. Got him. Let's move. So at this point I thought, you know what? I love skipping docks. There are tons of docks on this lake. Maybe there's some shallow fish around docks that want a jig. So I tied on a jig, time to skip. That was short-lived. As I realized the water temperature was rising, it's time to start fishing offshore. So I hopped behind my steering wheel and started graphing. Pulled out a few more rods for the offshore, and it's time to catch some. First, I threw a jig head with a swim bait on it to try to pull some fish out of brush piles. And I realized for the brush pile that I was fishing, that wasn't the right lure. So it's crankbait time, 6XD or 8XD. That didn't work, so I'm gonna throw a football jig. This is all within about a 10-minute period.
What are those? Those crappie?
And I thought I saw some crappie, so I'm gonna put on a crappie jig. Cause who doesn't love a little multi-species action?
Yeet.
And no crappie to show for it, and so I thought, you know what? One last little effort with the football jig into this brush pile.
Just maybe they're bass. I'm not sure.
Because I thought I saw something that looked bigger than a crappie.
Gosh, there's one. There's one. Wow, I thought that was totally crappie. I thought that was totally crappie. It is not crappie. It's a huge bass. It's a giant bass. Oh. Something chased me out of that brush pile with the football jig, and I thought, oh, it's crappie. I'm gonna get a crappie jig. Nope. Giant bass. Gosh, dang. Come on, come on, come on. Oh no, gosh. Dang it. Yes, sir. Let's stinking go. 7+ pounder. At a baby. At a baby. Oh, football jig. Top of the mouth. Thank you, friend. That right there, folks, is what we like.
So I fished the football jig a lot more around that same pile, never got another bite.
Dang it. Ah, I just caught one off camera. Shoot. I did a big circle around all the brush piles and came back to the one that I got the big one on. First cast back, 3 pounder. I need a drop shot.
When big baits stop getting me brush pile bites, I will always go with a drop shot. Matter of fact, not just in brush piles, anywhere offshore, a drop shot is kind of like my last ditch effort, but oftentimes catches a big one. I moved on to a different brush pile and ended up getting stuck a few times on a deep crankbait. So I thought, that's not the right lure for this job.
Gosh, there's one. There's one. Biggin, biggin, biggin. Yep, biggin, biggin. Giant, 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 giant. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Gosh. Dang. Hoo 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 hoo. Hoo hoo. Ho ho ho. Ho ho ho. Oh no. Oh no. Big line, big line. Go, get in the net, get in the net. Oh, you're hooked well, you're hooked well. Yes! Woo! 8 pounder, baby! Let's go! That right there, folks, is what I'm talking about.
It's a big one.
Yes! Ho ho ho! Maybe not an 8. That one would go 7 again, though. Woo. Join your friend. Woo! Let's stinking go!
So at this point, I'm figuring out the fish like the football jig today.
There's one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another biggin, maybe? Maybe, maybe, maybe. Yes, it feels like it. It feels like it. Oh, no, not as big. He's just swimming at me. Let's go. Let's stinking go. Woohoo! Look at that beauty right there. Sorry the light's so highly exposed there. Got him on the football jig. Love it.
Couldn't catch any more on the football jig, so I went back to the deep crankbait, only to do this.
Oh no. Totally thought that was a fish. I set the hook into that pretty hard.
Trolling motor up, headed to a brand new brush pile, and caught this on the way.
There's one. Little guy. Oh, he got off.
I guess lost this on the way.
then got stuck and lost another football jig, and finally moved out to a big offshore rock hump with the 6XD.
There we go. What'd I get? What'd I get? I found a school of sandies. Still fun though. Hey, chill. Chill. Probably a lot of these. Oh, there's one. Whee! White. See ya. Oh gee, hello, hello. They eat it right beneath the boat. All right, these are not largemouth. Let's get out of here.
So trolling motor up, time to fish something else. Fish are moving around like crazy.
Well, that's all she wrote, folks.
So at that point, it was noon, it was getting hot out there, I was pretty much done with fishing, and hey, I'd caught 2 7-pounders in one day, so I was pretty much done. But as you saw there, I used almost every single one of these rods that I mentioned. I think I threw anywhere from 10 to 14 rods that day. Ended up only catching fish on 3 or 4 or 5 different lures, but I didn't know that going into the day. I had no idea what the fish were gonna bite. I could have caught, I guess, the topwater fish on multiple different types of topwater, but I love the walking bait for the shad spawn. I guess I could have thrown an 8XD instead of a 6, that type of deal. But I really just had to have the right mindset, and that is the fish are gonna be changing, so I have to change too. Now, do you need this many fishing rods? Absolutely not. I'm gonna make a video this summer detailing what I think is the top 6 to 7 rods you need to be a proficient bass angler, but you can also catch tons of fish with 1 rod. And for a lot of people, 2 to 3 rods is great. But for the sake of time efficiency in a bass boat, I like to have as many rods as I can that all do different things. They are almost all different lengths, different actions, different powers that give me a better casting distance, better hook set ability, better sensitivity. That's why I have so many different rods. Can you catch fish with less rods? Of course you can, especially from the bank. But because I work with awesome companies like Lew's and I can't have this many rods, it helps me tremendously to be a more efficient bass angler, and that's what we're all about here on the channel. And so if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. Hey, if you want to see an awesome day of post-spawn bass fishing shad spawn deal with some of the coolest fish catches ever, click up here in this corner. And if you want to see an instructional on the football jig, that's what I caught my 2 big ones on today, I will leave that video up here in this corner. That's a masterclass video, one that I'm very, very proud of. But my name's Tyler, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you guys next time right here on TRF.